Today on Locked On Rockies, looking at some of the numbers, it gets even uglier.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock On Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On. I think that was a singular. Rock On Rockies fans. All over the place on this Wednesday morning, April the 16th. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you those daily Colorado Rockies talks, chats, all that good stuff right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services by looking Locked On Rockies up on those streaming services, or find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where Rockies fans have been airing out their thoughts the last couple of days here. So if you have stuff on your mind, if you have things that you want to check out, well, make sure that you go and fire off those Rockies hot takes and let me know what's on your mind. Because unfortunately, folks, not only did the Rockies lose yesterday, I took a look at overall standings, and it's bad. It's really bad. But before we dive into all of that today, gotta let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So the main thing, I think, as we're continuing to monitor this situation, ideally we're going to see Brenton Doyle today. I mean, or they'll rest him this last one. They have the off day and have him come back in on Friday. But it's clear that the Rockies are really reeling from not having Brenton Doyle in the lineup. That's part of why I think the offense has been, well, let's just take a look at the numbers. I mean, it's really a huge reason why the Rockies offense has been even worse over the past week, with Brenton Doyle now missing, what is that, 4 going on fifth game? I mean, basically missing, I believe he missed the entire Padres series, and now he'll be missing, if he misses the finale here, that's 6 games against 2 big teams. No wonder the Rockies offense has struggled, because Brenton Doyle on offense has been great. We were worried about him at the leadoff spot, but Brenton Doyle continues to start developing and growing, I think, into not only a leader on this team, but a baseball player that is going to continue to raise eyebrows. Obviously, we saw one of the dropped balls. We saw some of the issues with some of the defensive stuff here, but Brenton Doyle, to start the season, is batting .321 with an OBP of .357 and an OPS of .904. He's got 3 home runs, 12 RBI, and a stolen base with 17 hits. That makes him the best Rockies offensive performer by really I guess not so much anymore with Kyle Farmer, who's now actually leading the team with .333 batting average. But we're talking Brenton Doyle leads the team in home runs. Brenton Doyle leads the team in runs batted in. So I believe Brenton Doyle is also tied with Kyle Farmer for most hits on the team with 17. And Brenton Doyle has now missed. Obviously, Farmer hasn't played as much, but actually, that's not true. I think Farmer probably has a similar amount of games played this season. I'd imagine he's been in close to all of them. Regardless, it's abundantly clear that the Rockies offense needs Brenton Doyle in it. And it's kind of crazy that we're saying that when we're talking about where he was when he was a rookie not that long ago. But it's clear that the Rockies had a dynamic threat at the top of the lineup that was one of the main reasons the Rockies could get anything going when they were able to score. Most of the time during even the times where the Rockies hadn't scored more than, 2-3 runs before they got that first 5-run appearance, broke things out. Brenton Doyle playing a huge role in that. I mean, he is the spark plug for this Rockies offense right now, and it's good to see that in the interim, Kyle Farmer has been able to come up and start doing his thing here. Kyle Farmer has 51 at-bats in 16 games played. Brenton Doyle has 53 at-bats in 12 games played. So you can even see the impact there when it comes to if the Rockies were able to get both of these guys in the lineup when they're producing like this, it's not going to knock the doors off of anyone, but it'll give the Rockies at least some more offensive threats and a little bit more oomph to an offense that has really struggled. There's been some other interesting ones here. In Nick Martini in 36, he's got a pretty good batting line there. Mickey Moniak has been okay. Being able to get on base with 4 walks, 9 strikeouts, still a problem, but that's nothing when you. I mean, it's just amazing though to look at this, look at these numbers and hear these numbers. Ryan McMahon has almost is at a near 50% strikeout rate. So is Michael Toglia is 1 strikeout under a 50% strikeout rate this year. Both of them are batting under 220, and Mac has walked 7 times. So and we've seen some pretty decent stuff from Rymac too, but we haven't seen that big step forward. And it's not good that you have 7 more well, I guess that's kind of crazy sometimes when I'm looking at these games played and the at bats given here. It just shows you how much of a difference it makes to bat leadoff, right? When you're going to get so many more opportunities. So it's kind of crazy when I sit here and I'm like, man, Michael Toglia and Ryan McMahon, they should be pretty far ahead of Brenton Doyle, but they only have 7 more at bats than him. Brenton Doyle has 4 more hits than Ryan McMahon and 7 more hits than Michael Toglia. These are it clearly shows that that Brenton Doyle has developed into a solid offensive player. Hopefully it's going to be consistent, and when he returns from injury, it will be the same thing. But we saw the first year, we saw the improvement in the next year, and then it's a small sample size. But what we've seen here, I mean, it seems like this version of Brenton Doyle, and if we continue to get that, he will be the one that can help turn things around for the Rockies and start making us start digging our way out of a really deep hole. Because unfortunately, and I'm not trying to go too far in the rant stuff here today, there most likely will be a little bit of it, but more so just looking straight at the situation here, folks. When you look at how the Rockies rank, who the Rockies are now currently on a 5-game losing streak. The Rockies are the worst team in baseball by like a good chunk, folks. When you're looking across the board here, it's bad. I mean, it really starts to set the tone for if something doesn't give, if this is not just a bad first part of the season, it's going to really start spiraling. No team in baseball, there's 2 teams with under 5 wins in baseball right now. It's the Chicago White Sox and the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have 3 wins, the White Sox have 4. But here's the big kicker, though. The White Sox are a -12 run differential and a losing streak of 2 and 2-8 over their last 10. The Colorado Rockies are on a 5-game losing streak, 2-8 in their last 10, with a run differential of -50. -50. There is no team remotely close to that. The closest team is a little under half in the Pittsburgh Pirates at -24. So it's not just bad luck. It's not just been bad defense. No, this is horrendous play. This is franchise worst start. This is worst team in baseball stuff. No team in any other division is double-digit games behind the division leader than the Colorado Rockies. I understand that's the NL West. I get it. But that is, the Rockies are 10.5 games out of first place. And yes, we weren't expecting first place. We weren't counting that. But no one else is even, I guess I shouldn't say even close. That's not fair. The closest team in terms of gap between the top and bottom of the division is the National League East, with the Braves 6 games behind the Mets. Do you think the Braves are going to stay in that spot all year? You really think that that's how it's going to go with the Braves, who have now in their last 10 played 500 ball and have started clawing their way out of that? Amazing they only have 2 more wins than the Rockies, but no, and then let alone compare the Rockies to the NL West. I mean, when you're talking about odd man out, this doesn't even, I mean, it doesn't even remotely come close to being, I mean, it just shows the difference here. And if Dick Monfort is sitting there talking about how hard things are, well, it's staring you right in the face, bud. Padres 14 wins, Giants 12 wins, Dodgers 13 wins, Arizona Diamondbacks 10 wins. The only division in baseball to have every team except for one in double digits. In fact, it's the only division outside of two of them with two teams in double-digit wins. You can say what you want about the other teams. You can say what you want, but you knew how good this division was. And you've seen what other teams in this division have done to be competitive, to get themselves at the top of the division, to give themselves a fighting chance at this year, because they know that they know the division's loaded. But if they can beat the division, they can beat anybody. All 4 out of 5 teams have made big decisions, big moves, big changes, big commitments, big adjustments. And it's panning out to proving that they are that the NL West has 4 of the best teams in baseball. The NL West also has the worst team in baseball. I didn't think the Rockies were the worst team in baseball. I didn't think it was gonna. I didn't think the start was gonna be this bad. But those are just straight up the numbers, folks, and not even all of them. I mean, there's even worse ones that we can dive even further into it. The Rockies are the only team in baseball with a sub 200 winning percentage. The White Sox might only have one more win, but they're at a 250 average. The Rockies are on pace. Let's see. What was our commenter here from John? The Rockies are currently on pace to go 30-132. And that was before yesterday's game, which is starting to approach Cleveland Spiders territory. Yeah, I'd say something needs to change. But can we hold our breath for that change? Do we really think that's the difference maker? And I want to tell you one of the most frustrating things and revisit one of my biggest frustrations with the Rockies over the last few seasons, because it's not just getting down bad, it's these streaks, man. Drives me nuts. Let's talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes PrizePicks. Basketball and hockey playoffs are here and heating up, and there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than with PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even combine players across sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, and more for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. You can check out all the players playing in the play-in, or maybe you want to gear up and wait for Saturday and believe in your Denver Nuggets taking on a huge matchup with the Clippers. So much star power in that. Plenty of players to decide more or less from. And all you got to do is check out PrizePicks. PrizePicks. All you got to do, check out PrizePicks. You got the app, the super easy to use app, and they got you covered across all sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, and more. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup on the PrizePicks app when you use code LOCKEDONMLB. PrizePicks, run your game. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on YouTube, the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Go check it out. Go fire off your Rockies hot takes. There have been a lot of them here. And I think the one thing that is tough to kind of go with a lot of the comments here, and as much as we're calling for change, and we have to come clean, and I think we have to acknowledge one thing. a change in ownership is the pie in the sky idea. It would come to me as a total shock if there was a sale of the team. Now, if we go back to the Kisla piece, and if we go back to some of the comments made at the beginning of the season, there could be a world that we see Dick Monfort stepping back and making some changes from how involved he is and things like that. Remember, we're supposed to ask him in July. I wonder how the franchise worst team in baseball, and following up your 2 worst seasons. I wonder if that conversation might start getting accelerated. But I just don't think. I mean, and if I've seen the comments, and if you're not watching until Monfort sells, then you're probably not watching Rockies baseball for a while. I mean, not to be rude about it, not saying that it's something I agree with, but let's be real here. There's really no inkling that type of change will come. There's no real reason for that change to happen. This is clearly, I mean, this is a guy and a family that has tons of power and control now in the Denver area that basically holds down that area. It's just, if that's what you're looking for to be the big change, the big catalyst for the Colorado Rockies, I think you're going to be waiting a while. On the flip side, however, eventually push is going to have to come to shove. I don't even know if that's the right phrasing to use here. But eventually, if you continue at this pace, if you continue playing baseball at a worst in the entire league level, and you're okay with that, then you're enabling it. Then you're not, then it's clear that the goal is not to be successful. That's not the goal then. If the goal is to just be, hey, people in the seats, money, boom, 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 that's what it is, then they will continue to be successful at that. Eventually, you're going to have to make a decision in which or this even includes the coaching staff now. They're going to have to start doing something differently. They're going to have to start looking in different directions. They're going to have to start finding some sort of solutions, because right now they're just following the definition of insanity. But that's also, unfortunately, baseball too, right? Like, we can't sit here and say, oh, we got to let, Zach Veen not ready, blah, 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 but shut him down after a week and a week's long worth of struggles. Baseball players struggle for a week. Baseball players come up to the majors and take time to adjust. So it's such a weird area in some ways too, where as frustrating and as bad as some of the issues with the Rockies are, some of these guys have to go through the lumps. Some of these guys have to go through it and through the bumps and bruises of getting called up and getting to the major league level. So the Rockies, we should be allowing the Rockies more time for certain players in certain things. It's really difficult when we go and we look at the numbers to be so excited by the Brenton Doyle numbers and then look at Ryan McMahon and we're just like, dog. Like, when are we going to see that the Rymac breakout, and when will that be the consistent one? Farmer and Martini, we talked a lot of grief about getting these veteran guys in the lineup and taking playing time away from the young guys, but when they're in, they're contributing. So it is a weird thing where it's just like we of course we want things to change, but it doesn't. Is it solely of, we got to hit the full reset button, we got to make these changes of personnel, or do they need to start changing things up with the way they're doing it? I think there's been enough time to show that it's a philosophy and deeper than just this is a tough stretch. I think we've seen examples. We've seen a lot of time. We've seen a lot of issues that have not been corrected. We see the Rockies have long-standing trends of struggles continue. So of course it's deeper than that, but that is at least something that's a little bit of a factor. It stinks watching Zach Veen strike out and strike out and strike out right now. It totally does. But I would imagine he's also learning. He's getting close. Some of those at-bats, he's a little late. He's getting close. He's fouling things off. He's walked a few times. So we have to allow that time. We have to allow those reps and be patient there. But at the same time, we can still be worried and still be, bummed out by the production from the guys that we aren't really sitting there and saying, hey, it's about time for them. It's about reps. Ezekiel Tovar, slow start to the season offensively. Both Ezekiel Tovar and Ryan McMahon both batting under 250 with OBPs under 350 as well. Middle of the road OPSs, really underwhelming OPSs. Both of them, Ryan McMahon with the 23. Ezekiel Tovar, when we're talking about his strikeout rate down to 13, 10 less strikeouts than McMahon, that's a good sign. Obviously still a problem, but I think we're seeing, of course, a more patient Tovar pay off. But, you just go, Jacob Stallings has been abysmal at the dish. Hunter Goodman has cooled off considerably. But Hunter Goodman's a little bit younger, but can we turn? Or how confident? The Stallings run back is kind of is looking a little suspect for now. It's still early. It's still not a ton of appearances for guys. No one on the most at-bats are in the 60s for players. We hear a lot on the broadcast about it being like the first 100 at-bats, something like that. So there is still some wiggle room, and we still should allow some grace and patience here at the beginning of the season. But it's just the fact that the issues are the continuation of trends that we've seen for years prior, and it's led to the Rockies being the bottom of baseball across the board. It's a problem. Just because we can sit here and say we can allow more time and some grace there, it's a problem. And it leads to losing streaks. It leads to the fact that the Rockies, they can't. It's not just when they start losing, it's a handful of games and they go back and forth. No, they do this time and time again, where it's 5 straight losses in a row. Okay, or here, let's go after the Rays. It's what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses. The Rockies have 2 5-game losing streaks already this season. That's insane. And it continues trends that where we saw before, where the Rockies over the season last year, it's a couple wins in a row, 7 straight losses, 6 straight losses, 5 straight losses, 4 straight losses. There's so many times where the Rockies just go on awful losing streaks that completely halt all momentum. And it just, that's the stuff where it's just like, when I want to see change, because I want to start seeing these things being broken up. The Rockies have been outscored in their last 5 games by, what is that? It's 11. It's okay. So 27-5. 27-5. They've been outscored. Of course, it's 3 shutouts in a game. But it's just all of this is just, it is eventually going to come to a head. When that happens, I don't know. Because I still don't know if this team would make an in-season move, let alone this early of a move. We'll have to see. All right, we'll fire off some of your comments. We will not get to all of them because there's a lot of them over the past couple of days. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and lowest price guaranteed, Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets, and a lot more, by the way. Plus, ticket drops at Gametime. What does that mean? The ticket price drops as Gametime gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. I have done a lot of shopping on Gametime. It is my primary source for when I need a ticket in a hurry. It's gotten me to the All-Star game. It's gotten me into concerts. It's gotten me to where I need to go. And my favorite feature, that view from the seat, panoramic view from the seat. So I knew exactly where I was going to sit before I bought. you can find all the best deals. It filters out the fluff and highlights the top discounts in the stadium as well. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Locked On Rockies here, wrapping things up for today with segment number 3 with the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section. Reminding you folks, though, for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB or our guys over on Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Stay up to date with all things fantasy baseball with our guys over there. All right, let's see here. Let's just fire off a few. Appreciate the kind words, Marco, there. Let's see. Here's what Jim says. You're right. No point in adding anything to the conversation. Oh, forgot about Bryant. Not to be rude, but I don't think Chris Bryant is going to be any better this year. Back on the IL again. Maybe I'm wrong, but this seems like a lost cause again. The Rockies could end up losing their season ticket holders. Not a good prospect. Who will buy those tickets? Bring back minor league baseball to Colorado. It was so much better. Is there not any minor league baseball in Colorado still? I thought nothing at all. That's right. Huh. Such a bummer. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Olivia says Dodgers AAA squad would beat this year's forgettable team. We mentioned John Clements saying the Rockies are currently on pace to go 30-1, 32, which is starting to approach Cleveland Spiders territory. Yeah, I'd say something needs to change. RK says, I just want to be anything to be excited about with this team, but I'm really struggling. This team has almost zero potential to develop a playoff culture with at least one superstar player leading the way. Tovar and Doyle are good players, even though Tovar has been rough so far this year, but they don't strike me as franchise players that can carry this team to success like Arenado, Helton, Cargo, etc. I just want to be proven wrong, or I want to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it. I would disagree. I mean, we're quickly watching if Brenton Doyle can come back and continue what he's doing. We're quickly, I believe the kind of over exaggeration that we've heard from the broadcast, and someone's like, Brenton Doyle could easily be a superstar not only in baseball, but Brenton Doyle could be a superstar for the Rockies and be one of, if not the best center fielder of all time. Defensively, he's already been making huge impacts, and if he continues these positive trends on offense, as we were mentioning, I think he will be a star, as do I think Tovar will be a star. Young guy going through his struggles, third season. Sometimes you go through moments and situations where things get a little bit more rocky. This is where we see the maturity of Tovar, and that's one of his biggest strengths. How does he handle this adversity? How does he handle the tough start defensively? He's battling the hip. He got hit in the cat. I mean, a little banged up for some stuff too. How does he navigate this, and how does he navigate his frustrations mentally as well? Because we know the Rockies as a team in general are very, very frustrated here. Marco says, while no one can fault KB for degenerative disease, I think I need to agree to disagree about us not paying for his contract. Every dollar we spend helps pay for that contract, whether it be a ticket, merch, or Rockies TV subscription. Monfort made that signing because of the vitriol levied specifically on him following the disastrous Nolan Arenado trade, a trade that even he questioned. I won't say everyone, but almost everyone but him thought it was too much money for too much time for a player who was past his prime. Now Monfort cries poor with KB making $27 million a year for 4 more years, money that almost everyone knew could have been much better spent. The Rocks are at the bottom of free agent spending, but wouldn't necessarily be if we didn't have this albatross of a contract that was ill-advised and unnecessary. No other club would have given those dollars in years except for the Rockies. And that's the huge part of the criticism of the contract, right? And I agree. The contract and the deal and everything, it can be criticized that way. Yesterday, it was just more of like, hey, there is nothing we can do about that. But the warning signs and the red lights were there for Chris Bryant before the Rockies made the signing. And yes, the Rockies wanted to have that star power name and make the big splash in the wake of the Arenado trade. Absolutely. And you're right. It is a very interesting to hear Monfort talk about spending when they're talking about what they did with Chris Bryant and the issues there. The Rockies haven't wanted to spend competitively. The Rockies did not want baseball and their competitors to go in the way that they did. They did not want to see the bigger contracts. There's no way that that's what they wanted to see. because not only does it mean that they had to spend more money, and it's less likely that the big markets are going to be able to spend more and get the big names, but it's just spending more money in general, something that only for very select few does Dick Monfort open up the wallet and pay for and get those contracts there. Caden says this is honestly the new lowest point in Rockies history. Jorge says, I think as young players looking to make your MLB debut, I'd go to Colorado just for that. See the jump in level of play, get experience, and then leave after a couple years. Hell's Hero says, hot takes. The Rockies may not win the pennant this year. Yeah, thank you. We are aware, Mr. Net Play Superstars champion. And Felix is great podcast, Paul. Appreciate your insights on everything. I'm going to represent Rockies Nation proud every day, regardless of the state of the team. And you know what? I love it. I'm a Rockies fan too. I love the Rockies. I hate the Rockies, but we're still here rocking and rolling, and I'm rocking and rolling with all you Rockies fans as well. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Back in action tomorrow with more Locked On Rockies here. Finale against the Dodgers tonight, and then an off day tomorrow before we'll see what lies ahead for the Colorado Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. Or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, check out the Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs podcasts, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.